All right. Well, whoops. All right. Welcome back, everybody, to AI Data Mastery, where we explore how AI and data are reshaping B2B businesses as a whole. Quick thanks to our couple sponsors, Data Accelerator and Evolve with AI. We appreciate you. I'm your host, Jason Renault, and very excited about my guest today. Basically, my guest helps decide which ideas get funded and which ones don't, to keep it simple. So joining me today is Tim Kelley. He's the founder of Canyon Angels and the chair of entrepreneurship at Grand Canyon University. He's helped dozens of businesses. I'm sorry, he has helped launch dozens of startups and basically train the next generation of investors. Obviously, they're at GCU. So today, what we're going to talk about is how AI and data are rewriting the rules of early stage investing. So how angels pick winners and how founders need to think if they want to stand out in the crowd in today's crowded market of, people looking for those investments. So without further ado, welcome to the show, Tim. Thanks for being here.
Jason, thank you. What a pleasure to meet you and get to see part of what your audience is and share perhaps a few of the crazy experiences in our angel world and how AI is just changing everything. So thank you for the opportunity.
Yeah, of course. So let's jump right in here. Give us a quick background. I know pre-show you talked about all the. How about you give the background? I don't want to mess it up here.
Easier. So I'm an entrepreneur at heart. I joke since my parents cut me off at 9 and gave me a lawnmower, but I've built over 10 different businesses. I've lived in 11 different countries and traveled to more than 64. I just got the bug and could never let go of it, both for entrepreneurship as a passion, because I believe it is really the most amazing economic system that humans have created to allow for prosperity to fester from the ground up. And everything else seems to be dictators from the top down. And so I'm passionate about what opportunities, what entrepreneurship represents as the greatest tool to create prosperity. That being said, so I've been a professor now, full-time faculty at Grand Canyon University for 15 years, but I have done that after exiting 4 other companies. And I have started businesses from construction to facilities management and real estate. That was headquartered in Mexico City. I did several $100 million in projects for Walmart, Costco, Visa, McDonald's, British Airways, all throughout Mexico, parts of Latin America. Started a cross-border mortgage bank, raised $500 million for that, lending money to gringos buying vacation properties in Mexico. Another multi-billion opportunity, but the reality is that the timing was horrible and launched right in 2007. So I'm sure you know that subprime mortgage crisis made all things mortgage related toxic. So ended up winding that down, selling off the whole portfolio that we had to GE Capital before they got out of the business. But we learned from our failures. And so I learned the timing is so important. My wife and I have built Spanish immersion preschools over the last just over a decade that has expanded all across Phoenix and the Valley. And we've recently sold those to a private equity group. So another exit there. And I've been a central bank advisor because I fall on a list of crazy people that have learned of all the things not to do in international mortgages and speak Portuguese. And so the U.S. government labeled me as an expert. And that's how they said, hey, I think the country of Angola might need some advice on what to do with mortgages. So spent some time in Africa working with banks in Angola and just love to travel. My wife's from Colombia. Our son was born in Mexico.
And my wife's Colombian too.
Oh, really?
From Bogota, yeah.
Yeah. Mi esposa también, igual, de Bogotá. Yeah.
I unfortunately don't speak Spanish, but she does. And I wish I would have learned, or we've been together almost 25 years now, and I should have learned by now. I just haven't. But yeah, so small world. Well, I mean, what sounds amazing is how lucky your students are to have you there at Grand Canyon University. Because I know, I went to college years ago, but I know the difference between like having a professor that had practical knowledge, not just theoretical knowledge from a book, like, hey, here's how I think you should do it, but somebody like yourself that can bring that extensive of knowledge and real world practical knowledge to the classroom, I think is, like I said, your students must be extremely lucky to have you. Hopefully they realize that, they might maybe not till later, but at some point they'll understand.
Well, yeah, I appreciate you saying that. I do say the whole motto here for our Department of Entrepreneurship at Grand Canyon is the only way to learn business is to do it.
Yeah.
So the ecosystem is, I think, very robust.
I went to a state school here in California. Then I ended up getting my degree from University of Phoenix, just because I was working full time and stuff already in my early 20s. But that's what I liked about University of Phoenix, is because each one of the professors had at least 5 or 10 years experience in that particular field. So it was, hey, here's what I do every day, 40 hours a week. Now I'm going to teach you how to do something similar, or, teach you about this field, not just somebody that, got a degree and went straight into teaching, which I'm sure there's plenty of great teachers out there, but I think the practical knowledge, especially from business, is extremely, extremely important.
No, you're absolutely right. My dad was even a professor of business and a few other things and philosophy at University of Phoenix. So.
Oh, was he? Yes.
Yeah.
Small world, small world. So obviously, ton of experience with businesses and everything else. You're still active with it's Canyon's Angels, right?
Canyon Angels, exactly.
Tell us a little bit about that.
I've been doing early stage investing for 25 years now, between personal investments into early stage companies back pre-angel groups, then small fund operations, having taken money and investing to some other startups, and then I was part of Thunderbird Angel Network, which was tied to the graduate school Thunderbird. So I was a founding member of that. That was 22 years ago. Then that got absorbed after a good, I guess it was 7-8 years by ASU. But me being at Grand Canyon, they didn't want me being the leader of their angel group. And so that's when I started Canyon Angels here. And we have somewhat of a unique structure, because from that academic perspective, it's all about learning through experience, right? And that's what Thunderbird had been doing. And my thought was to continue that here at GCU. And so that's why we tied it together. It's an independent entity, but it operates like a nonprofit, and it's tied to the university with a simple 1-credit class that students compete to get into. So far, we've been able to grow that to 10 years running now. We've funded over 77 companies, around $8 million. We've got great investor members, from as big a whale as a Jerry Colangelo to smaller entrepreneurs in the local environment that have had exits and love the opportunity to invest in technology companies, and at the same time work with the next generation to help them understand whatever wisdom we can provide from our perception of the world.
Very cool. So fast forward. So you've obviously been evaluating businesses for, sounds like, practically your whole life, since you got that lawnmower at age 9, right? Or 10, whatever you said it was.
Yeah.
But fast forward in today's market, with AI and data pretty much running the world, how has that changed things, or how have things changed how are the way you evaluated businesses change? And more specifically, how are you looking at AI and data, or the use of AI and data, when you're looking at a new business?
Totally. Well, first of all, because of the power that the AI actually gives to the entrepreneur, I think this is the greatest time ever to be an entrepreneur. The tools at the fingertip of the entrepreneur now, at almost zero capital expenditure to get into proof of concept, in so many cases of services in particular. But the world to be an entrepreneur in any sort of data service 2 decades ago required so much capital for data centers and every other infrastructure that it was nearly impossible, except for whales, to get in. Now it's democratized, and I think that transforms everything about the world of entrepreneurship and the world of investing. So almost every company we get now has some form of AI embedded in it, whether it be companies evaluating toxic speech on video gaming platforms or pharmaceutical analysis. Everybody is using some form of AI because, frankly, to ignore it is to deny yourself the potential of exponential growth.
Yeah, I agree. It is a very cool time to be a entrepreneur, or very unique time, because yes, you can. I mean, you can literally have a business, or AI can literally build you a business in about 24 hours. From branding to logos to everything else that you need to get started. But yeah, very unique time. So when you're looking at a business, how obviously it sounds like it's important that there's some sort of AI involved to maximize efficiencies and things of that nature. But how important is it, or what do you look for specifically when somebody says, "Hey, yeah, we're using AI to do this, or to complete this task"?
Yeah, so obviously it's a buzz term as well. So how do you pierce through?
That was kind of my question. How do you pierce through just, "Hey, I'm using AI to," like, okay, are you just throwing some prompts in Chat GPT, or have you actually built something that's sustainable and worthwhile?
Exactly. And piercing through that is sometimes a bit complicated and layered because there are so many different platforms and sub platforms that are now getting use case specific. And it seems that each of the macro LLMs out there are migrating toward areas of focus, specialty, whether it's coding platforms like Claude, just accelerating. And granted, every time I say something, I know I'm going to be wrong in a week. That's at least what I view right now to be the
Yeah,
leading
no,
generator.
I understand completely.
But then the next one comes out in next day, but that constant evolution and the tools that exist for everything from like your specialty of business optimization, process optimization, and having sort of pre-built platforms that you can make it. I don't have to know how to code to use so many of the tools now that can actually build these platforms that you can now white label under your own customer service. And that's amazing. So some of those questions we ask are, okay, well, what LLM are you using? Is this housed on, are you on AWS or are you on some platform? And so me not being a tech expert, just somebody who's infinitely curious, I just keep asking these questions, trying to learn, okay, what pieces have you assembled in order to deliver something, and to what degree is it protected under your specific client relationship, so to speak?
Gotcha. So do you have somebody as part of the evaluation team that is that tech expert that will peel back the layers and dig deep into the technologies and systems that they're using?
Yes, we do have several of our members that are active, that are software guys. I say software guys like they have been developing software and have had companies that develop software for years. And so we lean on them and we ask them to give us their professional opinions. And the students are actually pretty adept at digging through these things as well. They start to ask questions that I wouldn't even know to ask. And I just try to foster a deeper curiosity across the board. That how do we say, well, that's the wrong one to use? And I don't find us saying that at all. The questions that I ask often require that they need to expose the relationship of the providers in their particular, call it supply chain or platform delivery, however stack that is. How protected is it? How protected are those relationships? How protected is the data that you're using on behalf of your customers, et cetera? And we get a lot of creative answers.
Yeah. So if you're looking at, or if you're listening to a pitch, I'm sitting here pitching you on my AI business, tech business. What are some of the key, let's just say, what are the top 3 key things that you're looking for within that initial pitch to see if you're even going to, let it take up any more of your time, or if you're going to move on to the next one?
So it's a good question. And And first and foremost, what is the entrepreneur's connection to the market that they're attempting to serve? So before I dig into the tech stack, I want to know the person and what that entrepreneur's link is to the problem that they're solving. I put much higher precedence on that than I do on their particular tech stack that is likely to shift several dozen times over any given period. So
in essence, how invested is this person into solving the problem that their business is solving, or how kind of entrenched are they into that problem that they're solving? Because I guess that's a very good point that I didn't think of. Tech's going to change 14 times in the next 12 months alone, right? So it's like, is that person ingrained in that and passionate about it, where they're going to ride the ups and downs and figure out what tech to use next? Or, as soon as the going gets tough, they're just going to bail and not have any kind of connections to it, right?
That's exactly right. I'd say, are they in love with the problem? How well do they know the problem? And that's their personal experience. And if the story can bring a tear to my eye or explain something that shows that their dedication and passion is there, essentially to be able to handle and understand all the pivots that they're likely to go through. Because we're really early stage. We're I say post idea, but we generally, in our screening process, out of our 3 to 4 companies that we will take each month, 2 to 3 of them are in revenue, meaning that they actually have customers, which is the next question that we ask. Are there people that are willing to pay for what you believe is your solution? And we use that as a validation point, because I can't live their customer experience, and I certainly haven't lived their own experience. But if they have had customers, then at least we can talk to those customers perhaps, or understand what that level, maybe through third-party validation, what the level of solution and validation of that solution, what it actually is. So that's point number 2. The first is the entrepreneur and their commitment and understanding of the problem. And are they a bridge to possible solutions? So whatever tech stack they're organizing in order to experiment with the solutions on that particular problem, what validation do they have? So 1 out of the 3 companies that we'll take in can be as early as idea stage. And not to throw those companies under the bus, but often we'll bring them in as an opportunity just to get to know them, in hopes that if we understand them and who they are, as they get to validation, that product market fit, that customer relationship, then they're ready to raise capital. They have that product market fit already squared away. So those are the 2 most important things that we look at in our validation process. And then that third piece really is market size. So how many people suffer from that particular?
How big of a problem are you solving here?
Exactly. And how do they define it? Because we really have found over the years that the product market fit and the definition of the market size, your serviceable attainable market, whatever they call it,
your TAM, your total addressable market.
Exactly. That it's usually exaggerated, and it's usually incorporating multiple other product lines or services that are not part of the individual entrepreneur's solution. So we want to clarify what that market really is. If they actually sell into 100% of their market, what is that total revenue stream going to look like? So how are they billing customers? What does it look like is it a sticky business? Are they going to have some
churn rate and that type of stuff comes into play?
Exactly. So we try to get into all those things. Those are the 3 primary things. And we really don't dig that deep into the particular tech stack, mostly because it seems to shift so fast that in that early stage, if they're able to deliver a solution through a combination of whatever different technologies they've integrated, okay, I want to know generally what they're doing. And if there are like gaping holes in particular with client data. We'll drill down on that pretty deep just to make sure that they're not totally vulnerable to.
You mean like securing the data and that type of things, right?
Exactly. To what degree is the way in which they get the data, is it all secured? Are they on some NOC somewhere, or whatever, level of protocol are they operating within the client's firewalls, if we're talking about these types of ongoing services to businesses, like in your particular case, or if it's a pharmaceutical, if they've got a software that's evaluating molecular combinations, and they're attempting to apply AI to the sort of pre-clinical trials to expedite clinical trials. I've gotten, I don't know, probably a dozen of those companies. Everybody's on fire attempting to expedite the FDA approval process with essentially synthetic data. And they're all looking at AI as the solution to it. And it's just been fascinating to see, okay, how is this once they're doing this, who owns the data? How do they find more probable configurations of elements in order to deliver a higher probability of a pharma product that's actually going to make it to market? And to what degree can they prove that they're reducing the time to market? Are we coming down from 10 years to 2? Okay. Are you reducing the cost from 10 billion to 100 million? I don't know. But those are things that we're coming across rapidly.
Interesting. Yeah. And I think we've had multiple guests on the show where this topic comes up with especially in the healthcare space, where you have HIPAA and PII and everything else, where, yeah, it's like, okay, if you're going to utilize AI, is it going into some open system that are you releasing PII and HIPAA protected information into the open internet, into these open AI systems?
Totally.
Or is it completely guarded? And I think there's a lot that's going to happen in that stage, because obviously you still have to, respect HIPAA and people's personal information, but at the same time, incorporating AI can prove very beneficial within the medical and health space. But it's how do you do it correctly, ethically, and still making sure that the patient or the client's information remains private and intact.
What we're starting to see, just on a tangent here, is because HIPAA is so misaligned with what I will call individual ownership of data, and so that data mining process, individuals don't own it. HIPAA puts the ownership into institutions, your hospitals, your insurance, etc. And that other countries don't have that problem. So we are starting to see an explosion of tech companies in the pharma space in particular, coming out of Korea, parts of China, Japan, and Asia is starting to take a prominent role, I think, in developing new molecules that are going to have a big impact on the world.
Very interesting. What else do you see? I mean, it sounds obviously you're getting pitched businesses and that type of stuff on a daily basis, but I mean, looking ahead, maybe 12 to 24 months, have you seen anything that has really caught your eye or excites you, or with AI and data specifically? Where do you see things going the next 12 to 24 months?
Boy, it's moving so fast. I can't predict 3 weeks these days, but
good point.
So I'm part of a group, Abundance 360. Peter Diamandis. I don't know if you come across him at all in your
I'll have to. If I it doesn't ring a bell, I'll have to look him up.
So he's a really impressive guy. Certainly one of the top 50 influencers out there in this particular space. But what we're seeing in terms of what used to be a Moore's Law foundation, doubling number of transistors on a silicon wafer every 18 months, more or less. It's under compression right now. It's unbelievable when we're looking at And I tend to rephrase a Moore's Law type framework into our ability to process data. Now, with the quantity of data centers and types of chips that are being designed to speed up the ability to process data, that these numbers are now doubling every 4 to 6 months, even quadrupling every 4 to 6 months. Just look at how fast Colossus came online for XAI. And they're, what are they, crossing 200,000, 300,000 of the H100 equivalents from NVIDIA. And they're building out the next one for 1 million. I've got a buddy of mine doing the cabling for these things. It's like unbelievable. And, you know, whatever Sam Altman wants to do with this Stargate, and I don't know what Zuckerberg is doing, and I don't know. But all I'm suggesting is that we're in a hyper exponential now. And so predicting out even a year, I just make the assumption that our tools are going to be twice what they are today 6 months from now, at least.
Yeah, no, that's I guess it was kind of a loaded question because obviously nobody has the crystal ball and things are moving so incredibly fast. But so what you're saying in terms of the output is it's now to the point where obviously we have to, these data centers and everything have to keep up with the amount of data that everybody's utilizing and moving around and things on a daily basis. I've heard there's a lot of Arizona where you're at is a popular place to start building these things, or they have been building them there for a while, correct?
Yes, we've got dozens of data centers popping up, and you've got a real cluster. We've always been with Intel and Motorola or ON Semiconductor being here. We've had a relatively strong presence with the semiconductor space, but now with TSMC coming in, this is a $165 billion build out in Phoenix, literally 8 miles from where I am right now. It is enormous. They are already producing Blackwell chips for NVIDIA right now. And they're flying them up we have a direct flight now to Taipei, Taiwan, where they're completing the packaging of the chips. I'm getting pitches from companies doing packaging enhancement technologies, all kinds of crazy stuff. And this stuff's way over my head. I don't know, but it's clustering here right now in Phoenix. So that's very exciting.
Yeah, it's clustering around. I saw it was either an article or something on social media how, you know, a lot of these big institutional investors are not necessarily investing in the AI technology itself, but the data and the storage that the AI and data, or the data centers that they all need. Because like you're saying, that the actual AI tools themselves are going to change so rapidly and quickly and constantly be evolving. But the one constant in all of this is data. There needs to be a lot of data. It needs to be able to move at lightning fast speed in order for everybody to get that instant gratification that they're looking for when they're utilizing these AI tools. And that's data and then power, right? It's the power grid. You know, we got to make sure that can sustain all this at the same time.
Oh yeah, it's getting wild. You know, we do pay quite a bit for electricity, but not as much as maybe East Coast, Boston, or something like that, or New York. But we're building more power plants here. We've got a very large nuclear power plant that was the last one built in the United States, and that's just 35 miles from here. So gotcha. That kind of helps. We sell it to California, but I think we're going to keep more of it now. Yeah. Sorry, you're screwed over there, Jason.
Yeah, no worries. I mean, it's we got plenty of problems here in California to deal with. Trust me. I've been born and raised here. I've tried to leave a couple times and then end up sticking around. Thought about living in Florida a few times, and I'm jealous of the traveling that you've done. Though I love to travel. That's one of the best things about lacrosse with my sons is we travel a ton. I mean, both my teenage boys have been to almost 30 states already just from traveling around, you know, playing lacrosse. I mean, you can fly into like DC or Philly and hit 6 states in about an hour, mind you, but it's been a lot of fun traveling. As we, I guess one as we kind of like wrap things up here, this has been a phenomenal episode, really good information. But what are some maybe key takeaways from that entrepreneur out there that's starting a business, has a business? What are some key takeaways that somebody like yourself, I know you talked about the top 3, but what are maybe some metrics or key takeaways or advice you want to give that next generation of entrepreneurs, out there starting their business?
Well, I think as we kind of started with, this is the most exciting time ever to be alive. So I say go out and find problems to solve, literally.
Yeah.
And no matter where they are in the world, look, travel, explore, find out where problems exist, and let's make the world a better place. The story that you can tell to your customers, to your teammates, to your investors really matters. So
Yeah.
often we invest in the entrepreneur. They say the old phrase, it's the jockey, not the horse, right? And not the race. So we're looking at that jockey saying, can they carry it through? And they adapt to all these new tools. Do they love that problem? And that's the greatest potential out there to make the world a better place.
And that's really the main thing that you're looking for, is how ingrained in that problem is that founder and entrepreneur. Because then I think you had mentioned the word stickiness, but the more ingrained they are, the stickier they're going to be, the more black eyes they're willing to wear to get to where they want to be, right?
Yeah, the pain is still there in being an entrepreneur. That's a fact.
For sure. What about I used to ask your favorite book, or like one book that's really changed things, but I realize nowadays a lot of people don't read as much as they do podcasts and things like that. But is there one book that maybe has changed your perspective on things, or you'd recommend, or if not, a podcast or something that you're regularly listening to that has a lot of value?
I'll give you one for each.
Perfect.
Book that was a very strong influence was Atlas Shrugged by Ayn Rand. So
you said Atlas Shrugged?
Atlas Shrugged. Yeah. Have you ever heard of it?
No, honestly, I don't think I have.
So look it up. The author is Ayn Rand. She's passed away, but that book was published, I want to say in the mid 50s. But Atlas Shrugged, they've made a 3-part movie out of it, but it's much more important to read the book. It's a heavy lift. You're looking at whatever hundreds of pages, but it is about an entrepreneurial journey and how economics are structured. So very much a free market.
Wow, I've never heard of it, or I've never even heard anybody mention it before. But yeah, I just pulled it up here on Wikipedia. It looks interesting. Great recommendation. Then what about a podcast? What's your favorite? Who's your favorite one to listen to?
I love the All In podcast.
That is with that one I have heard of. I'm trying to think.
So you got four buddies. They're poker buddies. Jason Calacanis and David Freeberg, David Sachs, and Chamath Palihapitiya. Those are the 3 of them are billionaires. They're all extremely wealthy. They're investors. Okay. And David Sachs is the current AI czar for the current administration. So the insights that they have into industry trends, technological impact, and geopolitics is absolutely stunning. And they come from different political angles over the last 4 years. They started during COVID, and they just kept on doing it, and I love it. It's absolutely fantastic. My wife and I often disagree on politics and things like that, but we can both listen to the All In and get what we believe are objective opinions from people engaged in from an either side of the perspective to try to dig in and get to truth. So that's what I like about it.
That's interesting, because I mean, a lot of just shows or media in general now either goes right or left, and you usually don't have, and which I love is you have that. I personally can't stand politics, period. I think it's just in my opinion, the best description of a politician was they should be like NASCAR drivers, where they have to wear all the patches of their sponsors on their suit, so you know who they're making decisions for.
Agreed. Yeah, I couldn't agree with you more.
But I like that.
Politics, what do they say? You might not care about politics, but politics cares about you.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And especially nowadays, I mean, with kids and everything else, seeing what's going on in the world, it's, you want to kind of turn a cheek to it or just ignore it, but it's, you can't, you have to, or you shouldn't, I should say. You obviously can, but awesome. All in podcast. I love that one. So I really appreciate you being here. I think this is immense value. Your students are obviously very lucky to have you there at Grand Canyon University and through the Canyon Angels. So really appreciate your time adding value here to the audience. Don't forget is there a way that they can contact you? Or I know canyonangels.com would that be the best way? Or I'm sorry, canyonangels.org.
.org. That's the web page. And then they can reach me at tim@canyonangels.org as well.
Perfect. Well, thank you so much for being here. Don't forget to like, subscribe, message Tim over on social media, or follow him as well. Don't forget to like and subscribe to the show. Follow us on social media. And thanks again for your time. Thanks again for being here. And we'll talk to everybody soon. Take care.
Thank you, Jason. Real pleasure.
Thank you, Tim.